European Union leaders say they have moved quickly to block what they describe as an attempted political coup against EU unity as divisions emerged over how to fund Ukraine's war effort. After late-night talks in Brussels, EU leaders agreed to raise €90 billion through joint borrowing to support Ukraine's defense over the next 2 years.
We decided that the European Union would cover Ukraine's pressing financial needs for 2026 and 2027. Last week, we decided that Russia would not get its assets back until Moscow ends its aggression. Today, we approved a decision to provide €90 billion to Ukraine for the next 2 years.
The move avoids using frozen Russian central bank assets for now, a proposal that had sharply split member states and risked paralysing decision-making.
European Union budget. This will address the urgent financial needs of Ukraine, and Ukraine will only repay this loan once Russia pays reparations. The Union reserves its right to make use of the immobilized asset to repay this loan.
EU Council President Antonio Costa said the loan would be backed by the EU budget.
We have agreed to roll over our sanctions against Russia. Our goal is not to prolong the war. In fact, today's decisions are a crucial contribution to achieve a just and lasting peace in Ukraine. Because the only way to bring Russia to the negotiation table is to strengthen Ukraine.
While Commission President Ursula von der Leyen confirmed the funds would be raised on capital markets.
Yes, good evening or good morning, I should better say. We all share one clear goal: a just and lasting peace for Ukraine. That was the motto of the discussion today. So we gathered with a clear objective: to address Ukraine's pressing financing needs for the next 2 years. And I'm very pleased to say we made it. We have secured an agreement that we can deliver on the financing needs for Ukraine for the next 2 years. As you know, the Commission had proposed 2 solutions, both legally sound, both technically feasible. On one hand, we proposed EU borrowing on the market, and on the other hand, we had developed the reparations loan. Very important was in our discussion that last week already on Friday, we had sent a very clear and strong political message by immobilizing the Russian assets in the European Union over the long term. So that message was very clear, and building on that, we today had then agreed to find a solution for the financing of Ukraine in the next 2 years.
26 anymore on Ukraine, so 1 country less.
The member states have agreed to finance the Ukraine through EU borrowing on the capital markets for an amount of €90 billion for the next 2 years. We will do this by way of enhanced cooperation that is backed by the EU budget headroom and based on an unanimous agreement to amend the MFF. Similarly to the reparations loan, very important here, Ukraine would only need to pay back the loan once it receives reparations. This is the solution we found together, and as discussed in the last weeks, financing Ukraine beyond 2027 will then be part of the next MFF discussion.
Hungary, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic agreed not to block the borrowing, on condition they would not be financially liable for the guarantees. Belgium, where most of the €210 billion in frozen Russian assets are held, had also raised concerns about immediate use of the funds. Those assets will remain frozen until Moscow pays war reparations to Ukraine. If that happens, Kiev could use the money to repay the EU loan. European leaders see Russia's war as a direct threat to continental security, and say preventing internal division was critical at a moment of heightened pressure.
Today, everybody can leave this meeting room victoriously. I think Ukraine has won. It received the urgent, predictable and reliable financing it needs for the next 2 years based on an EU borrowing on the capital markets backed by the EU budget headroom. This is not a fragile construct. This is a stable, legally robust and financially credible European solution. I think Europe has won, and financial stability has certainly won. We avoided chaos, we avoided division. Europe stayed united, and unity today means that Europe remains relevant at the geopolitical table. Fragmentation would have meant weakness and irrelevance, and we avoided that. We protected Europe's economic and financial credibility. The immobilized assets will be kept immobilized and will ultimately be used to repair the damage Russia has caused through its unprovoked and unjustified war against Ukraine. I think nobody in the European family wants to see that money return to Moscow, but we're going to return to the original philosophy. It is going to be used to repair the damage that Russia has caused in Ukraine.
Included was uncapped guarantees, which is something that you were looking after.
Let me be very clear about what was at stake. If Europe had walked away today without an agreement, we would not only have failed Ukraine, we would have failed ourselves. This is a brutal war, it's a war on our own continent. A democratic nation is fighting for its survival, and the security architecture of Europe is at stake here. Had we left Brussels divided today, Europe would have walked away from geopolitical relevance. It would have been a total disaster. And we would have sent a message to the world that Europe can no longer deliver anything. Just mentioned that he wants to talk about it in January already. I don't think this is real. You have to know it could be your time.
It was a joke, eh? So if you write this, you must add laughed.